Hey guys, welcome to my channel if you're new. Welcome back if you're true. I'm Dara, real estate investor, entrepreneur, and consultant out of Atlanta, Georgia. And hiding behind me are the numbers and details of a rental property deal analysis. So I'm gonna step to the side and actually walk you guys through the numbers. It's gonna be actually really quick. Make sure you stick around all the way to the end because I will share some tips with you on the do's, the things to be wary of, and make sure you actually do when purchasing a property and inheriting tenants. So without further ado, here's the numbers. So the purchase price of this property is $89,000. Hopefully you can see that, guys. Rehab in this situation is 0. Now this property is lived in, so it's in livable condition. Now livable condition means very different things to very different people, but it's in good livable condition, meaning that the roof, all the systems are fine, functioning, and up to code. So other than that, there's nothing to fix. So that's why the rehab or the renovation cost for us will be 0. The rent that she is paying is $1,000 a month. And our expenses would include not utilities because the family already lives there again, so all the utilities are in their name, which is great, but would include insurance on the property, and then of course the annual property taxes. So I'm just going to guesstimate, which we always do, not guesstimate, but estimate, approximate about 30% of this number. So we would say about $300 a month for expenses. So this will include, so like I said, 30%, we include that for property management, although we don't outsource property management. We include that for vacancy, although this property is not vacant, and repairs, although right now there are no repairs needed. So this is just pretty much being conservative and saving for a rainy day. So we take away about 300 or 30% of whatever the rent is for expenses, put that to the side, and then that will leave us with about $700. Yep, $700 in cash flow. So this is $700 out of 1,000. So when you see 1,000 a month, don't just jump on that and be like, oh yeah, great, because yes, there is the 1% rule when it comes to rental properties, and the 1% rule, if you don't know, is that you would like to charge or collect at least 1% of the purchase price in rent. So again, this is gross until we get to the net. So this is gross, and this obviously does pass the 1% rule. So 1% of $89,000 would have been $890 a month. So anyways, this is not a number that you should be gawking at and so happy to jump on, because you have to make sure you account for the expenses. And again, this is just an estimate. So once I get an insurance quote and other things like that, I already know how much the taxes are for a year, but once I break that down to a monthly expense, then I'll have a more accurate number for both of these. But for the sake of this video, I'm using these round figures just to walk you through how you should look and run the numbers and analyze a rental property or potential buy and hold property or deal. So then we get to our return on investment, or our cash on cash return, because in this situation it is a cash purchase, so we will not have a mortgage. So return on investment, so what I'm going to do is take this cash flow, the net cash flow, the net annual income divided by the purchase price. So this is not done. This is $700 a month, and then there are 12 months in the year. So who can do math? What is 12 times 7? That is 84. So that'll be $8,400 for a year. So then you take the net annual income, $8,400, and divide that by the purchase price, $89,000. And as you can see, that's almost 10%. That's almost 10. So we're gonna keep it at, it's about 9, a little bit more than 9%, but I'm just gonna keep it round. Quick math will tell you that this would almost be 10%. So this is a 9% return on investment, which is pretty good. So most investors will, teach its own. But 9% is absolutely a decent return on investment for a rental property. So I hope that this makes sense. If not, rewatch the video, digest it, pause, take notes, or ask your questions down below in the comments. So now here's the part that I promised you, the tips on what you should do if you are considering purchasing a property that already is tenant occupied. So the first things first, before you sign any kind of contract with the homeowner, the seller, wholesaler, whoever it is, you want to get a copy of the lease. You want to read over the lease word for word to find out what the terms are. Who is responsible for X, Y, and Z? Do you allow pets? Do you allow smoking? Do you have a pet deposit? Or, you know, whatever the terms are, you want to just know, because once you inherit or purchase that property and inherit that tenant, you also inherit the lease. It stays with the land. So instead of landlord being on, or, you know, Mr. Seller being on the landlord line, you cross it out and that'll be your name. So you want to make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. So that's first. You definitely want to look at the lease. Then you want to get proof of payment. So ask the landlord, the seller, the homeowner, all the same person, ask them to provide you with proof of payment. So a bank statement, whatever the case is. So one, you can see that, okay, you said that you were getting $1,000 a month. Let me check your bank account. Okay, you are getting $1,000 a month. Making sure that it's coming from this and not, you know, somewhere else. And then also to see the date in which the deposit was posted, to see whether that tenant is an on-time payer or a late payer. So you want to get the lease, a copy of the lease. You want to get bank statements, and I would say, you know, date it back some months, because you just want to see history of payments. You want to, another reason for the lease is obviously if you're inheriting the tenants, you're going to have to keep them in there for as long as the lease term is. So if you buy it and they just started the lease last month, in the 12-month lease, you have 11 months, you know, of this tenant. So there's that. You also want to get information from the tenant themselves. There's an agreement called an Estoppel Agreement, and that's pretty much a one-page, sometimes two, but very simple, basic information agreement. You want to get it from the tenant and make sure the tenant fills it out. And it's really just comparing what the landlord said and all their documents to what's actually, you know, what the tenant says. So there's 3 sides to every story: his side, her side, and then the truth. So anyway, make sure the Estoppel Agreement is just getting basic information from the tenant: who all lives there, what are their names, how much are you paying, are you responsible for utilities, are you the owner of the furnishings and the appliances, or, you know, who owns what. And just so you, again, know what you're getting yourself into. Documentation beats conversation on any given Sunday, okay? So somebody can talk, oh, I'm getting $1,000 a month, they're great tenants, they pay on time, da. But once you start getting into the paperwork and the documents, you say, okay, well, they paid on the 11th and rent is due on the 1st and late on the 5th, you know. So you see things like that because, you know, numbers can't lie, and hopefully, you know, documents can't lie either. So you want to make sure you get that Estoppel Agreement from the tenant, and definitely look around the YouTube sphere to find out what else, or even Google what else should be on an Estoppel Agreement and what other information you need to get from the tenant. But it's not anything. You don't have to qualify them or get a background check, unless, of course, the homeowner is transparent with you and honest to say, hey, these are bad tenants and I'm going to throw them, you know, they're a headache. So maybe you have to inherit the tenants and start the eviction process. So if that's not the case, and this is a situation where you are inheriting a property or inheriting tenants from a property, and the purpose is for cash flow and not to kick them out, then definitely make sure that they are who they say they are. I mean, obviously the seller is one of their references as a landlord, so they can attest to that. So just be wary of the words, the conversation that you are getting from the seller, because you never know their motive as to why they truly want to sell the property with the tenants in it. And then lastly, so you have gotten your copy of the lease from the homeowner. You have looked at their bank statements to just see proof of payment and, you know, payment history. And you have also gotten the Estoppel Agreement from the tenant. Next, you want to actually meet the tenant, speak to them. The point is to get to know them, look around, what are their interests, do they have pets, are they smokers, and things like that. Because of course, yes, you are adopting the terms of the lease anyway, but you know, next time when it is time to renew, if you decide to keep them, you can kind of just tighten up, you know, based on your standards. So I hope these tips helped you. I hope that this analysis helped you in being able to decide on whether to make a property a buy and hold, make it a rental property. And if you decide to purchase a property that already has tenants in it, I hope that this was able to help you. As you can see, I am wearing this t-shirt that I designed. It says, if I'm gonna flip an ugly house, I'm gonna make it look sexy. It's actually a reference from a rap song. A lot of people actually stop me and admire the shirt, but a lot of people don't get it. But if you're interested in getting one for yourself, look down in the description box on how you can order one just like it. Comes in different colors if you so choose, as well as other t-shirts that I designed pertaining to real estate. Down in the description box also you can find the contracts that I use. I do not have an Estoppel agreement in this package. They're only contracts for whether you want to wholesale. So it's a purchase and sale agreement with the sellers and buyers, assignment agreement, a JV agreement, and a termination agreement comes in that package. Down there I also have leads for sale. I have pre-foreclosure and absentee owner leads in the description box. And if you're still here, you can also book a consultation with me or join my coaching program. All that information is down below. Thank you so much for sticking around and watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.